Could you explain us a little bit about the tasks of the IOC Sports Director?
So, the task is fairly simple and fascinating. So, if you would ask me the question differently, would you say, is it a good job? I would say, probably the best in the world. Probably. So, what does it consist about? It's basically games organization, looking at every sporting aspect of games organization, managing the relationships with the organizing committees on one side, the international federations on the other. And we have also, and that's on the institutional side of the story, 4 commissions we are responsible for. The Athletes Commission, the other side of the coin, the entourage, all people surrounding the athletes, the Program Commission, which looks at the content of the Olympic Games, and finally Sports for All. So it's games organization and the commissions that I just mentioned. This is the job.
How can we see the mission and the task of the IOC? What is the goal of the IOC in our world?
The IOC, put it this way, go to the very first pages of the Olympic Charter, and this is what we are designed for. It's to bring and breathe Olympism, bring Olympism to society, and make sure that with our partners, the National Olympic Committees, the international federations, the games organizers, we all together bring to life Olympism. Every 2 years we have the Olympic Games, winter and summer. We have the Youth Olympic Games. These are the pinnacle of our activities, and day in, day out, we have many others to bring Olympism to life. That's what we do.
You have to do with many different sports. How do you manage to work with the established sports in the IOC program on the one side? And how far do you observe sports which are so far not in the Olympic program, but you think they could be attractive for the future?
Okay, 2 different sides in this question. The first one is how we manage with 35 different sports on the Olympic program. Well, with a lot of respect, a lot of humility, and as much professionalism as we can. Respect, because each and every sport is different. Each and every sport on the program adds value to the Olympic property. So everything that a major sport or smaller sport brings is absolutely necessary to make the Games a unique product. It works because it caters for all tastes, for all cultures, for all ages. We need each and every sport, so a lot of respect. Humility, because each and every sport has its own set of rules, values, history, and it's quite overwhelming when you enter into the detail of the organization or the running of a competition. Each and every one of them is really complicated, hence this super important relationship with the international federations. So the professionalism, and that's the first adjective I used, is really important. We have to be really diligent in every dealings with the international federations. They know their sport, we have the global context. Between us, we make it happen. We looked at it at different levels, sports, and we have a whole process to look at them, to observe. We have a commission, the Program Commission. We go on events. We ask many questions. We have a questionnaire of about 70 questions that are asked to make sure that everything we find important are covered by this sport, but we also go to see their event. It is really important to see it live. That's at the level of a sport, but we do it the same for a new event. For example, we have introduced the mixed team relay in biathlon. We went to Kantimanchik, we looked at the event, we had people on the ground that made a report, which was super positive, by the way, and we're very excited to have the new event.
Are there any sports you are a little bit jealous about that they are not in the Olympic program?
But we have a number of sports, obviously, that are out there. Urban sports, for example, skateboard, which is not organized as an institution or as the sport we know through IBU or through FIS or FIFA. It's different. It is an activity which brings together the best athletes in events. They don't have a federation yet. So yes, there are plenty out there. And the potential for inclusion in the games is very exciting, obviously.
How do you select between sports value and the attractiveness of a sport for the public and the market?
Well, that is the boundary of a technical approach versus a value-based approach. And it's both. First, you need to have all technical matters being absolutely covered. Then you have the values. Would we accept sport whereby the integrity of health of the athletes is compromised? No. So the buck stops where, at our level at least, the integrity of the athletes is not being preserved.
Has it become a harder job to retain the sports goals of the Olympic Games with all of the commercial influences that surround both the games and the athletes?
No, I don't think so. Athletes have also become much more professional in their approach. Athletes, and I would say the entourage. Entourage has become much more savvy about what it takes to develop an athlete's, I would say, from an holistic perspective. An athlete is not only someone that will perform in the field of play. A good athlete is someone that went probably through some level of education, that is then training for excellence on the field of play. And doing that, they need to be good in front of a camera as well. They need to be good in an interview. So all these skills are developed alongside sports performances.
Before you came to the IOC, you worked in the financial sector. How did private business prepare you for your sports management career?
Well, I worked in finance, I worked in real estate, I worked for Kodak as well. But the most challenging of all the jobs before was being a teacher in macroeconomics. This is what probably gave me, if I go back, and it's almost 20 years ago, but what gave me the greatest assets that I use on a day-to-day basis, which is basically work in a very complicated environment where you have a very vast ground, and then making sure that it can be explained, digested by others in simple terms and simple words. You have to have that capacity to summarize, explain in a few words the issue and the recommendation.
You work a lot with the international sports federations. That must be quite a challenge since it's such a diverse group.
Well, I take it as the ultimate joy in my job, which is to have 35 presidents, secretary generals, sport directors, communication directors, which are all different. The whole diversity of the world for the diversity of sport. It's absolutely fascinating. Is it complicated? Yes, sometimes. Is it challenging? Sometimes. Is it motivating? Always.
Have you found out a difference between winter sports federations and summer sports federations?
Yes. Winter sport is a small family. It's 7 federations. You have the same sort of challenges, and I would say it's more of a family, and it's also influenced by the Northern European culture. Okay, so that's the group of 7. Then you have 28 sports in summer with very tiny properties, smaller market, very compact but smaller. And you have the huge sports that you would see dominating the TV news on a day-to-day basis. So you have more diversity and discrepancies in the summer sports than you have in the winter. All in all, winter is probably in terms of operation the ultimate challenge, but the federations are very well equipped to face them. This is what we're facing.
Can you give us some insight a few of the influence of the new media. How has the internet, social media had an influence on the games and how they are perceived?
Well, let me give you an example, and I won't quote the sport. We have, during the London Games, a problem on a field of play, and that problem lasts for 45 minutes to an hour to be resolved. During that time, it has generated millions of messages on social media. Even 4 years ago in Beijing, with that same issue, you probably could have waited until the morning after to go to the press conference and explain the resolution of the issue and how it was dealt with and provide all explanation. The world has shrinked in time between an event and its consumption, hence the pressure to resolve much more quickly and go out publicly much more quickly than in the past. Is it a blessing or a curse? I don't know. That's the world we live in. At the same time, social media gives you also fabulous opportunities. And we see that day in, day out at the IOC, we have 600,000 people looking at the YouTube channel, which is an enormous coverage, and that's for each and every sport, which is a good thing.